Okay, I'm gonna say this just for the record, and people can freely distribute it as they wish around the truth movement, and that's absolutely fine by me. Yeah, anyone who sees this has complete permission to distribute it. But there are just some things that I really, really need to get off my chest about the truth movement at this time that I feel is very, very important. And I've just written some short notes to try and articulate how I feel at this time due to the psychic attacks and astral attacks and telepathic attacks and energy work being raised and sent to me, which isn't all by NSA agents or Satanists, but I know to be from certain members of the so-called truth movement also. Anyway, here it goes. It would seem that there are some people who claim to be deprogrammers in the truth movement who are yet to break free of their own programming, who think it is just to use any skills that they gained whilst in programs such as MK Ultra to cause harm and torture and abuse people with, whilst in front altar, out of the programs in day-to-day normal existence. I am deeply saddened to see that these people have yet to break free of their programming, still finding it normal to use their skills in such a way, carrying on the order of the hidden regime which instills this practice into its methods of control and abuse on the public at large, and especially on targeted individuals. I do not think it wise or empathic or compassionate to use your abilities this way, as though you are still living the identity of a psychic assassin or a super soldier. And I think we should be very careful of the titles we give ourselves and how we identify or over-identify with something, and as such what we think we are. This is why we should take care when working with and healing any alters, as we can easily over-identify with them and their emotions and memories, and this can be dangerous. We can lose track of morality and slip back into dark emotional and cognitive programs that are not humane. I believe that all human beings are special and unique, and I believe that we are spiritual and created in a design fit for only one thing: enlightenment, God, or as some people prefer, ascension. I do not believe that one life is more special than another or deserves less somehow than another. And yet, that is what I have seen in certain people in the truth movement. I have heard excuses being made for ill treatment of others, either verbally or through remote viewing or telepathy, because of what people have said they remember a certain person or persons doing, or remembering a certain person betraying them in a situation in the programs. And to me, this is completely wrong. Those people were, at that time in Alta, they were programmed, as were you, in front personality. Most people from MK Ultra that I have met and spoken to deeply, deeply grieve for what they have seen and done. None of them feel that anyone deserved it at all, and they feel betrayed by their government and country for a construct of power that is nothing more than illegal and simply evil. It does not mean that they are the person that you remember or feel you remember in your memories, if you are having genuine memories of them at all. I think that to deliberately try to trigger anybody to see if their alters are real, and if they are what they say they are, is also very, very wrong and disturbing. These people are trying to come to terms with something traumatic, stressful, and life-changing in a very, very big way. If you had any experience of trauma at all, you would surely have some compassion and empathy for others who have suffered as you have done, if you were telling the truth. And you would have a heart and a soul as well as a result. When you deliberately harm another person with your gifts and abilities, you are losing a part of your soul. and hardening your heart, not healing and deprogramming. If you feel that making constant war with and fun of people who have been severely traumatised and abused is fun, and that is what you live for, then you are absolutely no better than the Draco. That is what they are and what they want. War, 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 and absolutely nothing else. They like to control, they like to divide, and they sure have managed to help that in some aspects within the truth movement. I am tired of people who are getting caught up in some scenario in their minds and who think they are still living the task from some of the programs, and who take on this alter personality, or what they think is the personality of a super soldier. It is just false, and there's no grace in this. People died horribly in these programs, and with great suffering and pain. There is no honour or valour in any of this. I want to make that really quite plain. I personally will not tolerate any more of this. If you think that this is God, that this is healing, that retribution and revenge and ego-driven needs are the way, then you are completely insane. People who truly went through this stuff have suffered enough. If you are truly spiritual and healers and truly spiritual leaders, then why would you want to make anyone suffer anymore? I am aware that there are some people who take the opinions of their ET friends also before their own common sense and moral grounding also. A true light being would never do this and would never betray you or another human being in this way. They would honour fairness, justice, valour and dignity, and respect life and not wish to harm it in any way. The way the movement has turned out to some people like myself is just ridiculous, with little help available, people who know nothing about the true extent of mind control, who are trying to deprogram or heal and advise others. I accept that in MK Ultra we all have different programming structures, and also advise only in terms of what we have experienced in that regard, which can offer some moral and emotional support to others. But in terms of healing, this is always going to be tricky ground to work upon, and there is no common thread that supports a healing or deprogramming structure. I also accept to a certain extent that this is uncharted territory for some therapists, and I am asking you sincerely to take what I have just said in complete regard. There is nothing spiritual or supportive about a movement that has become so academic in some regards that people are fighting over the smallest bit of information and research and plagiarising the long-term and hard work of others. For example, the case of Barry King and the plagiarism on one super soldier blog that claims a trip chair and copy of the details given by Barry King originally of what is actually known as the trip seat from Peasmore, and with no reference as to where they got the actual information from. At least in academic circles, they reference where they get their information from. The knowledge of what is really going on should not be the be-all and end-all of what this movement is about. You are dealing with mostly highly vulnerable and traumatised people who need help and support, empathy and understanding, and there has on occasion been little of that I have seen. In my honest opinion, you are quite honestly doing the goddess, this earth, this paradise that is dying, that we live on, an injustice, and you are quite simply fighting the wrong war. Instead of motivating something positive and spiritual that helps support people and honours the truth and dignity and honour of each individual, and helping the goddess, this earth, to be free and to heal, you are spending your energies on targeting people and making their lives miserable for your own petty gains and ego. I honestly wonder that if you have so much free time to cause such injustice to people, how little NSA surveillance you must have. And I also wonder just how much of that energy could have gone to the earth to help her heal, to helping in your community by doing just some small hours a week helping homeless people in a shelter, or praying for your fellow human brothers and sisters, and actually doing the real job we all came here originally to do, which is to help the earth and free ourselves from oppression by having a united front against the Illuminati, the powers that be, and the reptiles and winged serpents and the Anunnaki. In Buddhism, there is a term called dukkha, and this roughly translates to mean that when you have experienced suffering, you gain empathy and understanding and some wisdom and compassion. I wonder just how many of you truly understood the message of MK Ultra at all in that regard if you experienced it and lived it. It seems that you just do not understand the true nature of suffering and regard those who do as victims. There are no victims. And this smacks of hypocrisy to me, especially when some of you are stating that you suffered so much in the programs. Where is your compassion and empathy? I am too tired now of this petty game and circus that this movement has become. I honour and thank many researchers for their early works and for bringing light to the truth of the plight on this planet, but I cannot and will not honour those who laugh and mock others that they use for research and earn some form of living from. And neither can I honour those that tell of their own plights and yet abuse others who have lived these plights also. You cannot have it both ways. You are either for or against your fellow men. It's time for you to choose. I also thank many of those that came before me and bravely told of their lives and experiences, as they helped me tremendously and enabled me to have the courage to speak out also. What I do wish, this is what I wish. May this truth movement start to see its own plight, its own shadows, and its own demons snapping at its feet. From this, may people start to recognise the truth within themselves, not constantly seeking it in other people, places and experiences, always searching in a desire state for the next and latest higher information. And may they know from this healing and grace, for that is what I truly wish for all of us. I really am tired of this, and I now wish to take a back seat and focus on other things in my life. If you wish to continue to make a mockery of the truth, that is your own choice, and God help you. I had a memory only yesterday of a girl in a program facility who was only 17 years old. She was in trance and with the company of other teenagers. I saw her raise her arms in a gesture, and her t-shirt rose slightly up her abdomen, and she had scars across the whole of her abdomen from surgery, and also marks upon her torso and arms from torture and electroshock. I cried for hours after this memory, and could not shake it out of my mind, that I had seen this pretty young girl, and almost every time I close my eyes, I still see her. She didn't deserve this, not at all. Not anyone deserves this. So please, will you stop with this insane injustice of your fellow men in the truth movement? Thank you.